Thank you again for your great presentation. As a Korean national Ambassador Figueroa's presentation was quite touching and also informative enough to learn about unknown facts about the Mexican soldiers' sacrifices in the Korean War. And after listening to the presentation, I have a couple of questions I'd like to raise. First, I want to know what you are further trying to make these forgotten sacrifices known to the public.
Well, I hope that this is only the beginning of an adventure, as I mentioned, to dig up so many untold, or maybe told, but that they're hidden in many homes, in many archives. And I think it's not too difficult to look for those stories. Even though we're talking about 70 years ago, it's still not that far. And we know that many people, many veterans have been writing memoirs in the past decades. So we just found the memoirs of this Corporal Jesus Rodriguez. But just imagine if we find many other memoirs and if we can get more information, if not from veterans, at least from their families, and of course from archives.
I'm already looking forward to what you're going to discover and share with us. And as ambassador to Korea, how would you describe the relations between Korea and Mexico?
Well, we are very close. We have a very close relationship. We will celebrate our 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations in 2 years. But again, our close history goes back much farther in history. The first Korean migration to Mexico happened in 1905. We have this participation of Mexicans during the war, also Mexican presence since the 60s with the Mexican missionaries, particularly in Sorocto Island, the island where people ill with leper were confined. But especially, I would say, in the last 25 years, our relationship has exploded in so many terms, in economic terms, in our political relationship. We share the same values, we fight the same causes in the international arena, and also we are part of the globalization, and that's why we are so close together. Our trade is above $22 billion a year, so there is much to say about our relationship.
Thank you. Now I will open the floor. If anyone has any question or comment on the presentation of the ambassador, please raise your hand and please address who you are first, and then you can ask the question.
So, as the only, I think, American in the audience, I appreciate your contributions and I appreciate the presentation. It's very interesting. Obviously, America appreciates the Mexicans who fought with us in the Korean War. I was wondering if that agreement, bilateral agreement that you mentioned, was that still in effect today? And when they fought in the Korean War, were those soldiers, did they understand that, and did they retain their Mexican citizenship when they joined the U.S. military?
This bilateral agreement started in 1942 and lasted until 1952 and was not renewed. Indeed, those Mexican nationals who wanted to return their Mexican nationality could do so after serving in the U.S. Forces. And they just asked for that either at the Mexican consulate in the U.S. or coming back to Mexico. There is no record of any difficulty of any person who had his nationality rejected because of having been part of the U.S. Armed Forces.
Good. I wish you good luck in finding those documents to make that happen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And any others?
Hello, I work at the Foreign Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and it was very lively story that I really feel pleasure to listen to, and thank you so much for your presentation. But those who reside in Mexico, I just wanted to hear whether those who served in the military in the Korean War and now reside in Mexico has received duly respect by the Mexican citizens, and at the same time whether they have received any financial support from the Korean government. And that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a very interesting question. And firstly, we have to know the precise number of veterans who are still alive and living in Mexico. I had the chance to talk to one of them, Mr. Sierra, just because when some people knew in the Foreign Ministry that we were conducting this research, someone told me, well, you know that the father of Ambassador Ivan Sierra is a Korean War veteran. But that was just by chance. And I can only tell his story because I know of no other. And it's a little bit sad because he told me that in Guadalajara, where many American veterans reside, especially from the Vietnam War, he met with those veterans once a year in November 10 in one monument. But I asked him if he received any support, if he asked for that to the US or any government, and he told me no, that he didn't and he was not interested. Unfortunately, in Mexico, there was much indifference for a long time about those soldiers. And I will tell it in one sentence, because it was not Mexico's war as such. So that's time to make those stories known and to have a proper recognition, especially in Mexico as in the other countries.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Ambassador. I think that this is Ambassador Bruno Figueroa is not just a great ambassador, he's an extraordinary researcher as well, as I had the chance to witness when I was reading his book concerning the history of the Mexican aid for development, more than 100 years now in this. And so it's for me a privilege to know this. It is definitely very, very interesting. I was wondering, I noticed that most of the primary source of information come from the United States, from personal experiences. I was wondering, what about if you have already identified possible sources here in Korea as well as a source of information to complete? I think this as far as I understand, this research is still in progress, and you will continue doing this. And I'm confident, I'm sure that in the future we will see a great publication as a result of this research. Congratulations, and thank you again for the invitation and sharing with us what you have found until now.
I just have to interfere. Can you please identify yourself?
Sorry, I didn't do that. My name is Marco Chicas, Ambassador of Guatemala in Korea. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Well, that's a good question regarding sources in Korea. We haven't looked at that, and well, I hope, since the Ministry of Patriots and Veterans offered a support to continue this research, I am sure that there is something that could be found here. What is easier is to get now information through the internet, mostly coming from American sources, because Americans have been conducted interviews to veterans. There are several initiatives to get the memoirs of veterans alive through interviews. Some of them you can find in the net. But definitely, if there's something that could be found in Korea, we certainly would like to do so. Well, again, I want to thank for the generosity of the Foreign Ministry in giving us this amazing opportunity to present the case of those until now forgotten soldiers. And I am confident that this will change with time, as happened with other parts of the history of the Korean War. Thank you again.
I think that there's another question.
First, congratulations for this effort, extraordinary. Second, I'm thinking maybe in the future we need to organize one commemoration in this world by thinking in the American people. The American people, I believe 2 days ago, the ambassador of Peru said to me that some soldiers from Peru country, and maybe we need to continue this research. And obviously it's very sad about, imagine, Colombia sent to the Korean War 5,100, and now there now lives maybe 440. I can imagine how many, obviously between 86 to 96 years old. Suppose Mexican citizens, maybe huge. I don't know how many people now, and obviously it's a moment to recognize from here say the message to the Mexican citizen, the importance of their efforts in this work. Thank you.
I believe you're from the embassy.
Juan Carlos Cáez, Ambassador of Colombia.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I believe today's presentation helped us to understand better how much we owe the Mexican soldiers and other Latin American soldiers who participated in Korean War for what we have now, all the prosperity and freedom in Korea that we enjoy. So thank you very much. It was very touching, interesting, and I hope that the investigation will continue. And also, I want to mention that today's presentation of the Latin Plaza will be uploaded online through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs YouTube channel and Facebook page. So please feel free to share with your friends and colleagues. Thank you very much. Now, this is the end of today's Latin Plaza, and I'd like to thank you again for taking time to take part in today's event. Thank you very much. Thank you.